Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for attending one more press conference of TIFF 2010. Some housekeeping rules, if you guys don't mind taking your pictures, they're going to be standing here for you. After 1 minute, if you please move to the side and move to the back. It's a very busy one. Please, no pictures being taken from the 3 front rows. Put the chairs back if you wouldn't mind. You guys asking the questions at the back, if you don't mind just standing, just announce who you work for, then you sit down. Remember to leave some space for our volunteers. No flashes allowed during the press conference. And always remembering that press conference are being broadcast live at bell.ca/movie lover and also available on your smartphone on Bell Network. I'd very much like to welcome on stage the director, the actors, and the screenwriter of Rabbit Hole and moderator Henri Béat. Group hug, group hug. Thank you, guys. Guys, please take your seats to the sides, to the back, please. Thank you.
While the photographers are going back sort of to the back of the audience, let me remind you before press conference starts that if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand a little bit ahead of time. A, so that we can see you. B, more importantly, so that the ladies equipped with microphones can get to you, give you the mic as fast as possible. When you have the mic, please stand up, introduce yourselves, and ask your question. Sit down and give the mic back. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the press conference for Rabbit Hole. As most of you know, this is about a couple, Becca and Howie Corbett, whose lives are shattered by a senseless accident. Those characters are played by Miss Nicole Kidman and Mr. Aaron Eckhart. Further down, next to Mr. Eckhart, the teenager who actually changes their lives unwillingly, Mr. Miles Teller, as Izzy, Becca's oh-so-different sister, Miss Tammy Blanchard. At the far end, my far end, of the table, the man who wrote the play and wrote the screenplay based on his play, David Lindsay Abair. And sitting next to me, the man who directed it, Mr. John Cameron Mitchell. And I guess I'll throw the first question to you, Ms. Kidman, and you, Mr. Mitchell. Based on your filmography and the body of work that we can get on IMDb, there is no way in the world one could imagine, A, that you would ever meet, B, that you would ever work together. So how did that come about, Ms. Kidman? Mr. John?
A phone call. I mean, we had a phone call, and I'd heard that John was interested in directing it, and we spoke, not for that long, really, about
20 minutes.
Yeah, and at the end of it, we were making the film.
So you had acquired the rights to the play? It starts with you? You made the first phone call, you made the approach?
In regards to acquiring the rights or calling John?
How did it all come about?
I was sitting in a coffee shop in Nashville, where I live, and reading a review in the New York Times of this play, Rabbit Hole, and it was wonderful, and I thought, oh, I'd love to see that. But I called Per, and he's my producing partner, and asked him to go see it that night. He saw it, and he sent me the play. I read it that night, and we approached David and we got lucky because we really wanted him to write the screenplay. Just reading it as a play, it's so beautiful. It's beautifully written and very, very precise and simple and funny and elegant. And he let us option it. So.
Well, I came into it later, obviously, but I read the screenplay that Nicole and Per had developed with David, and very rarely do you come across a perfectly structured screenplay with such all the years of experience that the play had behind it, all the skill of a Pulitzer Prize-winning writer, and I read it and I was in tears. It made me feel that I should drop everything that I was doing and reach out to Per and Nicole and say, I really need to be part of this, and this is why. The conversation we had on the phone was almost more about emotion, you know, and identification with it rather than style. I knew that I directorially wanted to be as invisible as possible, and it was all about the performances. But a lot of it was talking about, you know, some loss in my own life that the play brought up, but also in some ways healed just by reading it. And this play is not autobiographical for David. You know, do you want to talk a little bit about
Well,
how it
the play started, do you mean? When I
Yeah.
was a student at Juilliard, Marcia Norman was a teacher of mine, and she had said to the students, if you want to write a good play, write about the thing that scares you the most. You know, at least when I was in my early 20s, I really didn't know what that was. And then I became a father, and around the time that my son was 4 years old, I had heard 2 stories of friends of friends whose children died very suddenly. And as a relatively new dad, it put a fear in me that I had never experienced before. And I thought, oh, I understand fear in a profound way, in a way that I never had before. And I went back to what Marcia Norman had said about writing about the thing that frightens you most. It took all that time for me to figure out what it was. And that's really where the play and then the screenplay came from.
First question there.
Hello.
Second question here.
Good morning, Juan Carlos Garcia from Mexico. This question is for Mrs. Kidman. Yesterday, I saw that you and your husband were enjoying the screening of the film. I would like to know what kind of feedback he told you about the film, and what kind of shows or films do you like to see together?
That's a two-part question.
He'd seen a rough cut of the film in our living room, and he'd responded to it. He then saw it last night for the first time with the music, and as he said, I can never see a film in a rough state again, because it's like playing a demo to you and saying, but you can hear it finished, can't you? And I can't hear it finished. So he had such a different response last night that was very emotional and very supportive. Whereas the first time he saw it, he was a little more removed from it. What do we like? Lots of stuff. We have a broad range in terms of our taste, and but I took him to his first subtitled movie ever, so.
What movie was it?
It was the Almodovar with Penelope, the one that she was nominated for, Volver. Yeah, it was wonderful. He loved it. He said, I like reading films.
Okay, we'll take the lady first and then the gentleman, if the microphone can get him. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hello, two of my favourite, Helen Barlow from Sydney, Australia. Two of my favourite people together. It's interesting that, of course, Aaron was once a boy from Manly. I just wondered if that helped bring out the humour, because I was actually overhearing a buyer just then saying I was so surprised after reading the script how much humour there was in it. There's a real symbiosity between you. I wondered if the Australian connection helped there, and if not, how did you make it work? Certainly I know both of you have a sense of humour.
Go ahead.
I don't know if that helped, but it helped that I first of all, I'm an enormous fan of Nicole's, and had always wanted to work with her. I have tremendous respect for her ability as an actor, and I was, you know, when she called me up, you know, I don't usually get calls from people like her, and I was honored and immediately said yes to the project. But I felt like we did have a pretty easy relationship. You know, I thought we were pretty easy with each other and respected each other and admired each other. So I think that makes it easier when you're filming such tough material like this.
And Aaron is so, I mean, there wasn't any money to offer on this film. There was nothing other than the material and the promise of, you know, an environment where he'd be able to explore and hopefully feel very safe. And he just jumped in and was so committed, and without him we wouldn't have been able to make the film. It's actually, when we spoke to John and we were trying to put together the film, we still didn't have the money. And then when we got Aaron, we got the money, so.
I paid to be in the film.
He's the money.
I supplied the rest of the money.
Major investor.
The two sisters are so different. One cannot quite believe that they come from the same mother, same father. And the two actresses are, of course, extremely physically different. How did you two ladies work together, if you did at all, to try and find some common ground and belong to the same family, as it were?
I think I naturally have love for Nicole. I think she's the top of the actresses today. So the love was there, but then there wasn't really the necessity to have a deep connection during the film because we were at odds, and it was, okay, I truly love you, but I really don't have to express it as much as I would like to because the characters are at odds, I felt, during the whole movie.
Nicole?
Yeah, I mean, I just was so, when I saw Tammy's audition, I was like, wow, we'd be so lucky to have her. And she just brought